Hey, soul survivors. I am going to talk about the murderer that approached my car last night. So I will have this picture so you can kind of picture the area I was in and the type of night that it was. So it was kind of drizzling. It was a foggy night. And I pull up to this area. It's like a bunch of restaurants, or pubs that are kind of enclosed. So the parking was behind the building. And unless somebody's really driving by, they're not going to see you. So I end up parking my car and I kind of turn my face to unplug my GPS system so it doesn't drain my battery. And as I turn back around, I see this person right by my car, and he's like, I'm not harmful, I'm not going to hurt you, I just want to talk to you, I need some help. And so, single woman in this parking lot on this dreary night, I'm like, what do I do? So I want to talk to you about, one, was it a scam? Number two, why I reacted the way I reacted. So I could have pulled away. I could have pulled away. I don't like to hurt people's feelings. And should I have stayed? Luckily everything's fine. But sometimes we get in certain situations because we don't want to be rude. So I listened to him and it seemed legit. Now I've turned other people away for money, but he had said, look, I'm homeless. I just got out of prison. I spent, he said 42 or 43 years with 6 years good time. I don't know the words he used. 6 years something. And so I'm like, oh gosh, that's like 50 years. And so I started thinking like 25 is murder. And as I was driving home, I do want to say this. It was, I believe, 51, 52 years if you add on the good time. Was it a double murder? He admitted to one, or were there mitigating or extenuating circumstances that added on? Whether it was, using a firearm not registered to him, on and on and on, all the extra things, breaking and entering to do it. I don't know the whole story, but so he said, I just got out of prison. I don't want to go back. I'm in a tough situation. I had this person willing to rent me a place, and I just need $300 more, even if you can just give $1. So um, he started out, just $1 or $2 or $5, whatever you can afford. So he wasn't going after like a high dollar. He seemed like anything will be fine. He didn't seem high. He didn't seem drunk. He did seem homeless, and he told me that his backpack was stolen that had at the 209, which is some lingo I don't know. I think that's an address or the name of a homeless shelter, 209, 409, whatever he said. But he had it stolen. He said that he talked to the people at the place, and they're like, look, we can't be responsible for things that are stolen. And that's kind of true. That's true what happens. So he's without his ID. And he's like, I can't even, because I asked him about, are you looking for a job? And he's like, until I get my driver's license, I can't really get a job, which is true. So sometimes homeless people get in these really bad situations. And he did seem like not forceful to where he expected, but that he was hoping that I would help him. So that's a little shift too, that gave me a little bit of comfort. So I had some food, I gave him some food, and I said, hey, can you use a blanket? And he said, yeah. And he took the blanket that I had. So it did seem that, he could really use these things. He was very thankful on that. Wasn't like, no, I just want some money. So I decided to give him some money, and I gave him $20. Um, when I was in Los Angeles years ago, there was this one man who had on the brightest, whitest, perfectly clean jogging suit, and he had asked me for some money, and I just didn't feel the vibe from him that he really needed it. I don't know if it was because that was so pristine white, like he didn't seem like he was homeless. And it looked brand new. Now, that was an assumption of mine. Was I correct or incorrect? But I told him no, and he got so angry at me. So I gave the money quite possibly because this guy just told me he's a murderer. Um, and also I'm like, if I get out of my car, like, I don't know if even if I watch for him to go off into the distance, is he gonna follow me or something? So, sometimes just to keep the peace, because in that instance in Los Angeles, that did not keep the peace by saying no. So is that a protection mode? That here's a little bit and that's all I have, which it was. So the the actions that I did, um, you know, believing that other people can make a change. I do believe it is possible. Some people can make a change. Now, what he did was pretty profound, and I asked him what it was. And he had told me that his mother had this boyfriend who used to beat her like crazy, smashing in her face, this and that. And so he's like, I couldn't take it anymore. And I did, I killed him. So he was honest. If this is a true story, it didn't seem like he was trying for pity or to sway me into giving him money. And when I gave him that money, his eyes kind of teared up and he was so thankful. And he's like, a lot of people, when I tell them what my story is, or if I tell them that I'm homeless, they don't want anything to do with you. They, just, he didn't say discard, but he's like, they discard you. They don't listen. And, there are times that people have paid their price. That, was he necessarily a violent killer, or did he do something he shouldn't have done by taking the law into his own hands? But I wanted to protect myself. I also have it where I want to help people. And also the thought of that man from Los Angeles, how he reacted. Um, I I also was giving to where, um, you help the person out and you're still assessing. Like, I took step by step to see how much this man really needed help. Now, feel free to let me know if you think that it was a scam. Sometimes you can tell the same story, but it's almost like unless you experience it, um, the little nuances in their tone or their cadence, that we live in a scary world, and it's hard to know what's true and what's not true. But there are people that can change. There are ways to protect ourselves. And I just thought it was really interesting looking back on why, when a man came to my car door, why I was uncomfortable. Why was I uncomfortable? It was a little too close. It was a little different than normal. It was unexpected. Why did I give him the time of day? That's based on who I am. Sometimes who we are can lead us into unsafe situations. Now, I didn't come into this situation, but it caused me to react in a certain way. I remained calm. I didn't scream at him. Sometimes the way we react, if you're a different person too, where you're like, get the fuck away from me, and that might trigger them. So I tried to maintain a calmness about it and to let the person be heard. And I asked about his story. Based on that, triggers from that, the people that I've helped in the past. I also had one lady who approached me, and she had said that her mother was murdered. She's trying to, I can't, this was years ago, but her mother was murdered and she needed a ride back to some house or a Walmart. And it was kind of like an awkward thing. So I saw, I told her she needed money. And I didn't feel comfortable, like my purse was too close to the window. She's kind of asking for a ride, and I knew that my purse was right there. I knew that was unpredictable. People can carry weapons. If she's in such a desperate situation to where she is either going to open the door, grab my purse and run, or she's could possibly harm me. And woman to woman, I felt more uncomfortable with her, who is saying that she's a victim, to somebody who says that they were a murderer, and he was a man. So sometimes the vibes can set things off. Usually women aren't as harmful, usually. But I felt more threatened by her, and her story didn't add up. It just didn't add up. And looking back, I'm really glad I didn't do that. There was trying to remember, so I don't want to say anything off fact, but I felt I was protecting myself by giving him the money to kind of keep him calm, give him what he wanted. And I was able to go free. I also did feel that he possibly was being honest with me. Most people, that's not the type of story. He didn't say it. I don't know. I'd like to know your opinions on that, because this is such a world filled with scammers. But I just thought it was interesting the way I handled it, why I got scared, how I handled it, why I stayed, why I talked to him, why I gave him the time of day. I picked up on vibes. I took it step by step. Why did I take it step by step? To kind of sense where I'm at. I still assessed the situation, knowing I either need to leave or get out of my car and go to my dinner. So I also didn't want to feel like a sitting duck. So I put some energy into it to talk to him, so I didn't feel like a victim. Also, I'm hoping it gave a little shift in the dynamic to where I didn't seem like a sitting duck, but I was sitting in my car. I am 6'1". I have long legs to get out. He was right there. So even if I open the door, for me to get those legs out and start running, is too much of a delay. It was scary, but it turned out nice. Hopefully, if he really did need the help, hopefully he is a changed man. Sometimes people will continue doing the right thing when they feel supported. So we live in a world where for felons, that sometimes their lives are made so difficult that they feel hopeless, and that's why the recidivism rate is so high. He was also saying, I don't want to go back to jail. He said how dangerous it was out in the streets, and the city I was in is the 6th most dangerous in Michigan. So for him to be homeless, sometimes you foresee that, territory and all that kind of thing. But I would like your opinions. What do you think? Was I scammed? Did I handle it the right way? Sometimes, you can leave. Sometimes, we're called to be in certain places at certain times. I'm glad it turned out good. I kind of, would rather not have those situations happen, but maybe I was his little angel and there was an angel looking over me. I don't know. Or maybe I was scammed. But either way, I survived, and I just really saw the way I handled things were from the past. The way I handled things that day were based on experiences I had in the past, who I was, why I gave him the time of day. why I took it step by step by step, why I expanded out on his story, all these kind of things weren't from that day. They were from who I was in the past, other interactions with homeless people or scammers. And I came face to face with a murderer. And I've also lived across the street from somebody who killed someone. That, do people change? Sometimes situations, cause people to react in different ways. I am not condoning what he did. But to keep the world safe, I don't know. Doesn't mean you have to be friends with them, but how we handle certain situations can make it or break it for us. How would you guys have handled it?